that I missed a davening. I was then around 19, 20. So the Rebbe told me, gave me a look back what you asked, the word, back what you asked about a tikkun for tefillas ma'ariv, you shall become a baki in the laws of the Alter Rebbe Shulchan Aruch, the laws of davening. That was the one and only personal directive I got from the Rebbe all my life. And what bothers me, what haunts me is I have not become a baki.
You will be.
After how many years later? How many decades later? So it bothers me. I started just recently, it haunted me so much. I started just recently to go over Hitler's tefillah. And boy, does the Yetzer Hara try to stop you. Has so many obstacles not to carry through. So it shows how important it is. Whoever gives you a personal directive, he told me, and he smiled when he said that. And you could do it. Well, Sverna, Boki, the mountain Rebbe Shulchan Aruch. So, yeah. That's why he said Boki, you reminded me of that, and you reawakened certain feelings. That is funny, yeah. So let's start. Page 113a, the first page, yeah. I have my Gemara in front of me. And
all you gotta do is learn 101 times.
Yeah, that's all. It shouldn't be too hard. So let's go. Got the page? Got the right page. Okay, so let's start. Yeah. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. So you have a place. This is on your first page, right around here. The left column towards the middle or the bottom. So the Gemara above quoted statements that Rabbi Yochanan said in the name of men of Jerusalem, and then three others that Rabbi Shua and Levi said in their name. So because of that, the Gemara goes off on a tangent. Gemara now cites another three-part Agadic, Agada means like story type, statement from Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan was the first generation of Amoraim, of Talmudic scholars. Rab, Shmuel, Rabbi Yochanan, they were right before the closing of the Mishnah era. So this Rabbi Yochanan says the following: there are three people who are among those who will inherit the world to come. Right away, you have to ask a question. No. Only three people get it? Did we learn every single Jew has a chelik olam haba? That's the first question that comes to mind. So we'll see. We'll get there in a second. Let's first see who the three are.
It says among those.
Yeah, but why are you pointing these out? Everyone seems to inherit olam haba. Kol Yisrael yesh lehem chelik olam haba. It's a parak in Sefta Sanhedrin, the last chapter. Well, let's first see what the Gemara says, then we'll get back to that question. Elohein, these are the three special people. Adar Be'eretz Yisrael, one who dwells in Israel. Now, this does not mean if you live in Chutz La'aretz, you're out, you're finished. You're excluded. If you have a chance to live in Eretz Yisrael and you don't have anything here that would be equally as important or more, perhaps you have Mikurovim, people that you want to be Mekarev, and they're living here, and you can't have the same hashpah on them if you leave Eretz Yisrael. But if you do have the opportunity, it's just a choice of comfort. I like Chutz La'aretz. It's just more comfortable, you know. Israel's kind of tougher to live in. Whatever reason you pick, if it's not a reason that's negayah to Yirah Shamayim, it's a problem. So whoever lives, and lives means you find yourself, this is your comfort zone. This is where you want to be. You want to be in Eretz Yisrael. You want to have the Kedusha. You want to live in a holy land where Hashem's eyes are constant from beginning to the end of the year. And there's no compelling reason not to be there. Then a person who lives an Eretz Yisrael type of life, you could do that also living here as well. Your mind is in Eretz Yisrael. Your mind is on the holiness that even when you're in a land that's unholy, your whole pursuit is to make this land holy. Make, like someone said, once told someone who wanted to leave to Eretz Yisrael, he told them, Machda Eretz Yisrael, make Eretz Yisrael over here. So, but for sure, if you have a chance, it definitely is a mile in living there. Number one. Number two, Hamagadol Bano B'Talmud Torah, one who raises his children to study Torah. This doesn't only mean that you let your kid learn in a Lubavitch Yeshiva or some other, school where they teach Torah. It means that you are involved in this person's chinuch, this boy and girl's chinuch. You don't rely on the yeshiva or on the license for girls. You are totally involved and meshed 100% through and through to make sure that this kid This little child loves the Torah that he's learning. That's what it means. Megadel, you help him grow in the Torah. Number two, the third one is kind of strange. One who recites Havdalah over a cup of wine at the end of the Shabbos. He doesn't do that. What's that for? I understand living in Eretz Yisrael, living a lifestyle by Eretz Yisrael, yes. Person who cares about his children, totally involved, immersed in the chinuch of his child, yes. So the Gemara asks this question. The third one. The Gemara asks, Maihi, what is this meaning of this last category? I mean, everyone, what's the big deal? Everyone makes Havdalah on a cup of wine. And for the Gemara answers, it means that he leans over wine from Kiddush for Havdalah. What does this mean? So there are numerous explanations, and this is where halacha comes in. Tosfos just says, on the page you see of Tosfos, he says, it means as follows. You made Kiddush, but you have a lot of guests, and you want to give them wine. Wine is a royal drink. Shabbos is a royal day. And you want to enjoy the Shabbos. You want to have more wine for your Suda. You've made Kiddush already. You don't use that wine even to honor the Shabbos or to honor your guests, but you save that wine for Havdalah, which means you don't have enough wine for both. And if you're going to drink wine in the middle of a Shabbos meal, you're not going to have enough wine for Havdalah. One second. So here's a person who cares about, he's thinking about Havdalah, thinking about he must have wine for Havdalah when it comes to the, while he's making Kiddush. That's one explanation. Another explanation is, this is the Tur. Tur lived after Tosfos. He was from the last generation, or almost the last generation of Rishonim. Like Rashi, Tosfos, Rambam, these are Rishonim. So he lived about 700 years ago. He wrote a Shulchan Aruch called the Turim. The Tur writes the following. He says, no, we're talking about a person who has only enough wine, doesn't have enough wine, only has one cup of wine. What should I do? Make Kiddush with it? Or Havdalah. Now for Kiddush, we have an option. You can make Kiddush on bread, on challah. You can't make Havdalah on bread.
You can make Havdalah on another question.
He doesn't have. You only have one cup of wine. You have no beer. You have no other drink.
Because you could leave like.
You don't have enough for both. You only have one cup of wine.
Yeah, but like you could drink like how much is needed for Kiddush, and then like for Havdalah, so there's all different things.
Let's say you don't have
something in, so that it float in.
Okay, interesting. But let's say we're talking about a person who has just a revius of wine. He has a small cup, and there's not going to be left over at all. There's no way you can do it. There's no trick you could make until he has enough for both. So the Torah says, we don't paskin this way, but the Torah paskins that because we have an option to make Kiddush on challah or on matzah or on bread or whatever, on a hamaitzi, that could be your Kiddush. Save the wine for Havdalah. If a person is mindful of after Shabbos, on Shabbos, in spite of the fact that you just so much want to drink the wine, it's Shabbos, you want to feel it. But the person is mindful of Shabbos after Shabbos. That's sometimes tough because you go for the moment. So the person who's thinking about continuing Shabbos after Shabbos, who's living a Shabbos spirit and wants to make sure that Havdalah also is royal, because often at the end of Shabbos, we feel like, oh, let's just go over with it. Run to the pizza shop. People right away run upstairs, get their phones. So 24 hours we just kept serious nefesh, mamach, kiddush Hashem. Run to the phones, run here, run there. A person who just savors the Shabbos and wants to feel what the Havdalah is really, inviting the Shabbos into the weekdays, the Ruach of Shabbos into the weekdays. You don't want to say apart from it. It's called Malav and Malka. You're escorting the queen and you feel the royalty of Shabbos even during your weeknight, the first weeknight of the week. That's a person who's living in Olam Haba. This is a person, because Shabbos is Olam Haba. The difference is when Mashiach will come, the whole week will feel Shabbos-like. So a person who feels, Havdalah, I have to have wine for Havdalah. That's the person who's living Shabbos the whole week. And therefore, he deserves to get Olam Haba. Wine also represents the Pnimius HaTorah, the secrets of Torah, which will be revealed when Mashiach comes, the wine of Torah. To a person who's immersed in the holiness of the Shabbos, which is the Torah of Chassidus, and he keeps that Ruach after Shabbos, this is a person who gets Olam Haba. Now, before you ask any questions, I want to let this person answer my question. The obvious question. Doesn't every Jew get Olam Haba? What's the difference between these three and the rest of the Jews? So there are three answers. One answer is that yes, everyone gets Olam Haba, but you have to go through as a price to pay. Person, the neshama has to get clean before it can go to that. Get its chelik. I don't want to mention what that is. In the next world, there's some judgment, and it's worthwhile to go through that judgment, even though we don't understand that. Because today, if I would tell you, I'll give you $1 million, but you have to go through torture for 5 years. I mean, the torture. Thank you. I don't need your sting. I don't need your honey. But this is such a pleasure, such a type of time that we can't even imagine that it does pay to suffer in Gehenna, which, by the way, is worse than 70 years of Iyuv suffering. One moment in Gehenna is worth more. I don't want to scare you. It's worse. It's more torturous than the 70 years of this world type of pain. And the reason for that is because even if a person has physical pain, there's always the soul, and you can just blot out, try to focus on something higher than yourself. There's a story with a Rebbe, not the one of Chabad Rebbe, the Moshe Rebbe, who had to have open heart surgery, I think. And he was awake. They had no anesthesia. Something like that. Some very serious operation. You could imagine. He could die that way. He started thinning and nigging. And that kept him away from the pain. The Rebbe used to cry when he told over the story. He actually sank and went into a different world and didn't feel the pain. Not everyone could do that. But when you have the soul suffering, there's no running away. There's no way to run to. I'm not trying to scare you. So it says it's worthwhile. But the neshama has to go through, some kind of cleansing, depending on different kinds of cleansing. This person will have to go through this cleansing. This person will inherit Olam Haba right away. That's one answer. Of these three people, that is. The second answer is that people might in this world have to go through suffering in order to get their chelik in Olam Haba. Everyone has a plan. We don't have our peckle. We don't have our problems in life. These three people will have an easy, pleasurable life and get their Olam Haba as well with ease. And that's the word nachala. What does nachala mean? Inherited. How do you inherit if you're a baby? The baby has to do some work. By virtue of being the baby, the child of his father, of his mother, of his parents, you inherit. Nothing needs to be done. So these people do not need to hard work on themselves. The very fact they have these three qualities, seemingly even one of those three qualities, Dor B'Eretz Yisrael, the Kiddush Abdullah idea, and the Megadol Torah, Megadol Bonav Talmud Torah, these three give you the chus to have an easy life and to get their Olam Haba despite of having not to work too hard for it. That's the third answer is we're talking about this world, that they will inherit the kedusha of Olam Haba. They'll have some taste of what Olam Haba is in this world. Of course, everyone gets the future world, but certain people feel the pleasure of Olam Haba. They get a taste of it at least spiritually, a spiritual ecstasy in this world, if they are one of these three people. Pretty powerful. Now, what do you want to ask?
On Shabbos, no, I don't know.
Yeah.
On Shabbos, isn't you're not supposed to prepare for after Shabbos at all?
It's not preparing.
That's not considered preparing for after Shabbos?
You're not allowed to even
Go through.
talk about what will be.
Well, that's different. That's things that are related to things you can't do on Shabbos. Havdalah is connected to Shabbos anyway, so it's not a problem. I'm thinking about it. To think about, where I'm going tonight, which restaurant I'm going to eat tonight, that's a problem. If you take out clothing from your closet on Shabbos, so you can have right on Shabbos and know what to wear, that's a problem. It's also a problem, but not with Havdalah. By the way, there's another explanation of what it means to leave over. It means that a person, this is Alter Rebbe holds this way, you make Kiddush, make sure to take some of the leftovers of the Kiddush wine and use that for Havdalah.
Yeah.
Now, even though you might have a problem with that, because if I drink from the wine, it becomes pugum, becomes damaged wine. So that's why when you make Kiddush on wine, you drink, the person who makes Kiddush is mighty other people. It says you should pour some more wine into your cup and then give it to other people. But if I don't have enough, I have no more wine in my wine bottle. What should I do? Listen, you drink the wine, small amount. I'm sorry, you don't drink the wine. Before you drink the wine, after you make Kiddush, you're allowed to pour some wine into another cup for other people to hit. And then what you do, you drink, After you drink, you pour the wine in that other cup back into your own wine, and that you save for Havdalah.
But if it's open in a cup, so it becomes like right away, like.
No, it's not.
That also.
What's open?
Like
A cup of wine?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like if it's like the cup is like.
But when you pour more wine into that, that problem it takes care of that problem as well. As soon as you pour more wine into that cup, even though it's open, you're good. You can close it, and then it's only a problem if it's open while you're reciting the Kiddush or Havdalah. There's a cup of wine that was opened, but this is fine. So it's another person who cares about mixing the wine of Kiddush with the wine of Havdalah. Okay. Anyway, let's go further. Amar Rabbi Yochanan. Here's an interesting Gemara. Powerful. There are three people whose piety, whose titkus, the Eibush to the Holy One, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, proclaims every day, and we'll soon see what that proclamation is. It's an announcement made from Hashem himself about three special people. Who are them? Who are they? Three people that have a tremendous amount of mind over matter power. Moyev Shalot Alev, Al Ravok, a bachelor who lives in a metropolis, in a large city where there are a lot of things that are not so kosher, and there are a lot of temptations. You live in a metropolis and does not sin nonetheless. One person. The Al-Ani HaMachzer Aveda L'Ba'aleha, regarding a pauper who returns a lost item to its owner. He's very poor himself, and he could have easily taken it. No one will know the difference. And he's into the mitzvah of returning the Aveda. And the person might be a rich guy who couldn't care less about the Aveda so much, The guy is a multimillionaire. And when he lost, what he lost isn't not so valuable to him. It's more valuable to the poor person. I found it. Let me keep it. And yet, he gives it back. No one will ever know. It could even be the guy gave up hope on it. The rich man abandoned it, thinking I'll never get it back. And yet he bothers to give it back to the rich guy. It's another person. And the third person is the al-usher, a wealthy person who has a lot of tithing to do because he has a tremendous amount of assets. Ha-ma'aser peroisav bitzina, regarding a wealthy man who tithes his produce in private. You'd think he'd want to do it in public to show, hey, see, look how much I'm giving, to brag about his wealth, to show how much he gives. It's also kiddush shamayim. I'm giving all this for the mitzvah, the sake of master, and yet he's not looking to get any covered, which he would get, but rather he's interested in just doing the mitzvah as it is and does it in private. Now, these three people, there are three issues people have a tremendous taivas in life. Of course, one is taivas haguf, the body hormones, passions that people have because of their body. Men and women both have that. Then there is number two, the passion for money. Number three, the passion for honor. So there's taiva, there's mammon, and then there's kavod. All three presented by these three people. Doesn't only mean these three examples. It means anyone who gives up with a lot of hardship, forfeits these three pleasures in life, even though it's very, very difficult. What kind of announcement are we talking about? Hashem announces. What kind of announcement is it? So I didn't give you the copy yet, but there's a very interesting Gemara that I made copies of it. This is where I put it. It's from Sefta Kiddushin, a large city, like Manhattan, like New York. So, it's a very powerful Gemara. So pull it here. Down. I know it's a Gemara inside a Gemara here, but it's like a story inside a story. And you're going to wonder when you read this story here. Rabbi Meir and Rabbi Akiva would laugh at people who would sin. Not laugh, like, it's funny, but trying to show them it's not so hard. Why are you so, you could do it, you could do it, you could do it. And they would denigrated people that were not successful with their Yetzer Hara. Rav Meir hava mislotzeis be'ovrei aveira. Rav Meir was accustomed to scoff at sinners. Again, he wanted to show them you can do it. He wasn't trying to scoff at them, with arrogance, look down at them, hey, you sinners, God forbid he would never do that. But he was still punished, as we'll soon see. One day, Satan appeared to Rameir disguised as a woman. On the far side of the river was this Satan who was disguised as an attractive woman. Rameir's passions were aroused by the sight of this woman. Now, this is not a normal thing in the tzaddik. This was a punishment from Hashem for saying what he said. That something came into him from the outside that was not part of his natural, routine. Loy have a mavra, there was no ferry boat that Rameir could use to cross the river. He wanted to be with her. Nakat mitzra, he grasped onto a rope that stretched from the bank of the river to the other side. And the Satan, disguised as a woman, held on to the other side of the rope. B'ka'ava, he proceeded to cross. Kimata palga mitzra, when he reached the middle of the rope, when he was halfway across the river, Shafke, the Satan, released him from his grip. And of course, he couldn't continue. Amra, he said to Rameir, let me tell you something. This was a punishment. And Ilav, had they not proclaimed in heaven, Ilav the Kamachrazi Berakia, had they not proclaimed in heaven, be careful not to touch Rameir. Hizaru b'Rameir b'teirosai. Be cautious of Rameir and the honor of his Torah learning. Rameir would be mortified if this actually happened to him, and people would know about it. It would be a tremendous chilul Hashem. Shavise with mach tarti moed. If not for that announcement, I would have made your life worth 2 cents, 2 moah. I.e., I would have made your life worthless, because people would talk, oh, you're not Meir, the big tzaddik, look what he did. You should know that the only reason why you were saved is because Hashem did not let me do it. And why was he zoicha? Because of the above mentioned. So when a person has certain qualities, Hashem protects him from his yetzer hara. That's one of the explanations as what type of announcement we're talking about. Let's go to the next story anyways. It's interesting. Rabbi Akiva Rabbi Akiva also looked down at sinners. The Satan appeared to Rabbi Akiva disguised as a woman perched atop a palm tree. Rabbi Akiva's passions were aroused from the sight of the woman. Nakte v'dikla, so he held on to the palm tree. He began climbing, which he could not normally do. Because of his tremendous desire, he was stronger than he would normally be, and began to ascend into meter. When he reached the middle of the palm tree, Shafke, the Satan, released him from the grip. And he told him, you're lucky. Ilav de machrazei berakia, have they not proclaimed in heaven? Hizor of Rabbi Akiva v'teirosai, be cautious of Rabbi Akiva and his Torah, I would have made your life worth the same thing as before. Your life would have been worth 2 cents. So here's the example of people that are protected from on high. There's another story here, but we'll leave the story for next week, last week before Pesach. Tremendous, unbelievable story coming up the next page in the Masechet Kiddushin. Let's go back to the Pesachim. Now, Rav Safra, we just talk about the idea that a person who is tempted and yet overcomes the passion of being intimate with somebody, this is very difficult to hold back, and the person is protected from Hashem from all kinds of danger. Rav Safra Ravok. Rav Safra was a bachelor. Now, he was a bachelor not because he didn't want to get married, he just couldn't find the right person, who lived in a metropolis. Adar Bekrach. Hava, he was. Next page. And Tony Tano Kamed Rav Safra. So a teacher of a brisa is taught a brisa parallel to Rabbi Yochanan's statement above, in the presence of Rava and Rav Safra. Rav Safra heard this. He was someone who lived in a metropolis and he never sinned. Rav Safra's face lit up. Amalei Rava, so Rava said to him, what are you so happy about? You're not included in this rule. Lavke going mar, the brisa is not referring to someone like you, because you're involved in the Beis Medrash. You're sitting secluded from the whole, hoo-ha, what's going on outside in the city. You're not counted because you don't have this yetzer hara since you're involved in Torah learning. Elo, you know who we're talking about? Rav Chanina, Rav Oshia. They were involved in business in a metropolis, but rather to someone like Rav Chanina and Rav Oshia, the Havel Ushkafi Ba'arad Yisrael, who were cobblers in the land of Israel. Yasvi and the Mamish were involved in the marketplace, were amongst zonos, amongst harlots, prostitutes, who sat in a marketplace of harlots. They made shoes for the harlots. And the harlots would enter in their shops. They would look at them. The harlots would look at the rabbis. But the Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Yosef would not raise their eyes and look at them. Now, there's another version that says that they actually helped them put on their shoes. Not just they saw them, that they were in the shop. They actually, he was the only one, they were the only ones there who can actually help them physically put on their shoes. And yet they didn't look at their faces. That's who we're talking about. And the harlots had such deep reverence for the character of Rabbi Hanina and Rabbi Yosef that whenever they wished to swear to something, their oath was as follows: I swear by the lives of the holy rabbis that are in the land of Israel. Even the harlots, were amazed about their power of self-control and thought highly of them. There are those that say that it wasn't the harlots that made this oath, but rather the rabbis that made the oath and said that we're nothing. It's the other rabbis. They swore in the name of other rabbis whom they humbly said they deserve. They're the great people. In other words, that Safra says, no big deal. I never even felt any kind of Yetzer Hara in the first place. So they were very humble about themselves and didn't give themselves any kind of thank you. Others say it was the harlots that made this shul. Whenever they would make an oath, they would use the rabbis as a source of their truth. Okay, now, Shloisha that was their business. They were involved in a business. That was their parnasa. Not harlots, but harlots entered. There was all kinds of people, including those harlots. So they had issues, you would think, but it didn't affect them. They were able to stand above this. The Gemara continues with the other threesome of statements. First, the threesome of likable persons. There are three people Hashem really loves. And usually people that are loved down here, Hashem loves them also. It says a person who's noyach alabriyos, people love. Everyone says good things about you. It's a sign from Hashem that He also loves you. He loves every Jew. Special kind of love. Endearment. Misha eine koes, who does not ever get angry. When there's a good reason. I'm not talking about getting angry, even getting angry for good reasons. At your child, at people that are doing things that are wrong, don't lose yourself. Even if it's for a good motive. That's what we mean. Misha that never gets angry, like Hillel. Hillel never got angry. Hillel was always calm, no matter what you did. He never expressed any anger, not even in his heart. Not only verbally, he didn't scream, but even in the heart, there was no anger. Like some people are angry in the heart, but they hold themselves back. No, we're talking about eine koes internally. You don't get angry at anyone. One who never gets drunk, even at times when it's good to be merry and you want to get rid of all your depression. People sometimes have to drink to get rid of, as doing it the same shamayim. He didn't use that course of trying to overcome by intoxicating yourself, drowning out your problems. He would work out a different way. Everyone has problems. For a person who does not go through that avenue of releasing his depression or things that bother him, even though it's for a good reason, not because he just loves wine or loves mashke. Here's very one interesting. One who does not insist on his due measure. Someone really wronged you badly. You have a chance to take revenge in a very easily. And you don't allow yourself to measure. He did this, he'll get back that. You go beyond the rules. So Hashem will also deal with you beyond the rules. And show you love, unconditional love. So very important not to, called maiver al midos, to overlook your midos, your rules. You might be right about these rules. That person should be, and you might not take revenge because of self, but even for the good reason that maybe that person will learn a lesson. I know if I take revenge, that person will learn a lesson. I won't do that. It's not my business. Let his teacher do that. Maybe he'll tell his teacher or his mashpia, but you don't get involved. even though you have that person really wronged you very badly. And nonetheless, Hashem loves these three people. There are three people Hashem can't stand. And it's interesting who these three are. One who says one thing with his mouth while meaning something else in his heart. Now, this person wants to be good with everyone. Sometimes you want to hide the truth of how you feel about someone so people should like you. And you think, if I'm liked down here, I'm liked upstairs. Not this person. If you lie about trying to be liked, you're not included. Bakar, Hashem, the opposite is true. Hashem dislikes you. So you're now allowed to be, if you feel some kind of anger towards someone, tell the person why you're angry. Don't fool the person by being, two-faced. Number one. Number two, one who knows testimony affecting his friend, and the friend needs his testimony badly, but does not testify on his behalf. You know why? I don't want to get involved. I don't want to be hated. I don't make any enemies. So stay neutral. It's a story with Eev. It came to, the three people that gave advice. Pare asked Eev, Bilam, and Yisro. So Bilam said, get rid of him. Eev, diplomacy, I don't think right there. I don't think like this. He kept quiet, basically. And Yisro said good things. So he was rewarded. What was he who suffered? Why did he suffer? He didn't say anything bad. He just didn't say anything.
Yeah, but that you're quiet, so
I can't do one. One at a time? Yeah, go.
By that you're quiet, so you're saying you agree to what?
It's more than just that. It's like, what about the pain the person's going through? What about pain? It's so easy to be quiet, but if you would be going through that pain, would you not scream? If something hurts you, you scream, even if it doesn't help. What he was saying is, what's going to help? It's not going to help anyways. I might as well keep quiet. When you have pain and you scream, what are you screaming for? It's going to help. Why do you scream? Because it hurts. As a tutvei, you say Yiddish, as a tutvei shreikmen. It's a natural instinct. The fact that you didn't feel pain, I'll make you feel pain, Hashem said. What do you want to say?
Was it you got punished even more than what's his name, who spoke badly?
Yeah.
Because he didn't even take his side.
Right. In other words, you're trying to make yourself into using the pain of that other person and trying to make yourself honorable. Bilam didn't make himself honorable, just he hated Jews. He hated, as simple as that. He wasn't two-faced. Eev was missing in that part. So if a person knows someone else is suffering and has a chance to relieve it by testifying, that person is hated by Hashem. And the Gemara brings a story. The story with Tuvia, someone by the name of Tuvia, who sinned. Also Zigud l'chudei. Now we're talking about a situation. Zigud came by. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I missed that part here. My mistake. The second one was you are able to help the other Jew by testifying. And if you testify, for example, there's a story, Reuben owes Shimon $100 and Shimon is denying it. We know Shimon is a liar. Now you're only one aid. One aid can't be accepted. You need two witnesses. But the thing is that if one aid testifies against you, you have to swear against him. And who wants to swear falsely? So you know that if you would testify, the case would be solved. The guy would get back his money. I don't want to get involved. I don't want to make any enemies. The third case is the opposite. You see something and really it's none of your business and it's not anything, you're not helping anybody, you're just looking at something bad about another Jew and publicizing it. If you see something, a sexual transgression rather, and testifies against him alone without a second witness, what's the purpose? All you're doing is try to hurt the guy, just being Mighty Shemra, slandering. Like the story, Tuvia sinned, but also Zigud, Lechudei, and Zigud came alone. His name was Zigud. He came all by himself, the Asid Bey Kamei to Rav Papa, and came to Rav Papa and told him the story. He testified against you. You should know this guy's a sinner. Nagdei Zigud, Rav Papa punished Zigud. Armalez, Zigud says, he sins, I get punished. Tuvia Chata of a Zigud Mingad. Tuvia sinned, and you give me lashes? Amalei, because you're also a sinner. It says, a single witness should not stand up to testify against another man. And you testified against him by yourself. Thus, your testimony is unacceptable in court. All you really wanted to do is just make that person look bad. Shame ra ba'alma kamafkislei. By making your statement, you have put forth a simple slander against him, which is deserving of lashes. If you're out just to hurt someone else, you're the one who, and other Mepharshim say, it's probably you that also have the same problem. Because you're looking in a mirror. Baal Shem Tov story. If you're just out there to find fault in someone, you know it's not going to it's not going to be used against that person. It's not going to cause any normal results. Just to slander somebody for the sake of people looking down at this person, then you're probably guilty of the same crime that person did. And that's why he wanted to punish him. Yeah, if you have another witness, it's a different story, then you have to, right. But if you're only there just to, that's a problem. And Hashem hates these people, even though they have ways of getting out of it. And no, I meant it not for this reason. Only Hashem knows the real truth. Only Hashem is the one. No one else can really hate you, except for the Abed who knows your thoughts in all these three cases. Okay. Then the Gemara goes on to say something that seems to be contrary with what it says in Tanya, but it's interesting that in the not here in our scroll, but the other Gemaras that I have that's in Hebrew, he brings the Alter Rebbe in Perek Lamed Beis in Tanya. Because here it says you're allowed to hate him. You're allowed to hate a person like this. Mutal is hanosa. We'll complete with this. Although one who sees his friend commit a moral act is prohibited, you're not allowed to testify against him, but you are allowed to hate this person. And the Gemara brings a proof from a story with a halacha in Chumash about a donkey. And it's a long story, so we'll leave that for next week. I won't keep you any longer after. And next week I want to continue this, but there's also another page of the Masechta Kedushin that's a really fascinating story that I'd like to share with you as well. Even though it's closer to Pesach, and we should learn the laws of Pesach, but in Gemara, I'm going to go learn, but Gemara about Pesach is kind of, you're not going to enjoy it. I'll tell you that much. It's going to drive you, it'll bore you. So I'm not going to go through the halachic part of the Masechta Pesachim. Maybe I'll just mention something outside concerning Pesach related to Gemara Pesachim, but we'll learn this type of Gemara again next week. Next Friday is the last class before Pesach, I believe. Yeah. I mean, there's more classes, but as far as the Gemara class is concerned, it ends on next Friday, and next Tuesday is the last Sikha share give. So next week is the last regular classes, and then it starts the Pesach classes the week after. I just want to mark comment here, so just stay in for a second. Here, Michal, not here. Shane is not here.